Now everyone, it's time to spread a bit of movie cheer.
Welcome to the Movie Cheer Podcast, the show for movie fans. I am your host AP, aka Mr. Movie Cheer, and on today's episode of the Movie Cheer Pod, I will be discussing the 1987 Arnie movie, Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, that's correct, Predator, that's right. Predator, you know, the 80s action movie Predator. We all know the movie. If you don't know the movie, maybe go away, come back to this show. But yeah, Predator will be the headline topic of today's show, ladies and gents. I'm going to be doing a big deep dive into this movie today. I can't wait. This is a movie I'm really looking forward to getting getting to the deep cracks of this movie, because it is a movie I do really enjoy, Predator. So that's going to be today's headline topic for today's edition of the Movie Cheer Pod. But before I get to today's edition of the headline topic, I like to start off the show every single week with a segment called Not So Worthy Blockbuster Housekeeping. This is the part of the show where I discuss what's going on with the channel, what's going on with the Movie Cheer Town community, and it's just a general easing and chit-chat for the rest of the show. So what has been going on in Movie Cheer Town this past week? What's been going on with the YouTube channel as well? So first of all, I will say last night, Friday last night, I was a guest on another YouTube channel. I was on Ryan from Let's Get Kicking Movies. His channel, he does like a Friday night live stream. I know he's got one coming up next Saturday instead of the Friday, I think. But yeah, Ryan has been on the channel for Movie Cheer Fest. He was featured on the podcast edition of Movie Cheer Fest this year, the inaugural Movie Cheer Fest event. And he's a great top guy. I've done a few videos with Ryan over the past year or two or so, and doing different live streams and stuff like that. Really nice guy, top guy, really good host. And check out his channel. I'm going to link it in below. Let's Get Kicking Movies. And I'm going to link in the stream from last night. We did a 2-hour stream discussing movies, TV shows. It was fun. It was a really fun stream. I had a really great time. And yeah, great guy, top guy, Ryan. So I really enjoyed that. So check out his channel as well. Latest blog post. So if you want to check out, you have the YouTube channel, we have the podcast for Movie Cheer, and also there is moviecheerpodcast.com. Now it has become, as I said last week, now it is, the week before I said, every 2 weeks now there's a new blog post. That is it at the moment. So the most recent blog post I put out this past week was Black Friday, how to get the best value deals on movie deals for Black Friday. It's coming up, is it like the 22nd of this month in November? So that's coming up, big event if you're looking to try and get some deals on maybe some new movie gear, like new movie equipment, or some movie deals, some DVDs, Blu-rays, 4Ks. I've got a few little tips, nothing groundbreaking, but I think they sometimes help. Just like I always think, like if I'm reading a book, it's always the small bits. I don't take in like 90% of a book, but then there'll be like a small bit of advice in there what I can really, I get a lot from, and that's what I'm trying to like throw out with these like sort of blog posts like this one, where you might not take it all. You might think, a lot of this is absolute rubbish, but there might be a tiny bit of advice in there maybe that can help you to get the best value for your money on your movie deals. So I will link in that blog post below as well. What have we got? Latest video on the YouTube channel this past week. Another one of the 10 out of 10 part series. So 10 out of 10 movies in my collection, part 4 now. Like I said, I started these at the start of the year, did part 1 and part 2. And I consciously left it a few months. I thought, let's go back to this at a later date now, and then do part 3 and part 4. So I did part 3 and part 4 over the past 2 weeks. Really enjoyed it, and I'm sure there'll be like a part 5 and part 6 eventually. But I probably will, again, give it a good few months, maybe midpoint next year or something like that, maybe do that video. But I feel like with the videos now, I enjoy doing like the part 3s, the part 4s, and kind of like, I kind of see it as like doing little sequels to the videos, and just like doing like I know I've not done it yet, how to buy, should you buy a DVD player in 2022. I've not done it because the video did really well the other year, and it's like one of the popular videos on the channel. But I thought, I could do a sequels to that. I could do I think I did the 2021 one, and I could do like a 2022 one. And I feel like that with a lot of videos now. It's like, I just want to like forward them and make sequels and make them just improve on, and just like continue the topics as well, and continue the discussions with the community as well, which I really enjoy. So that is something what you'll continue to see on the channel, but you also see fresh content as well. But that went really well, that video, and a lot of nice comments from the community as well, which are great to see as always. Last bit of not so worthy blockbuster housekeeping. I'm getting tongue-tied today. Housekeeping for this week. Patreon. Every week there is a new piece of content on Patreon. You can join up Patreon for $1. You can pay for 1 month and then walk away and get access throughout that month period, and you get the movie cheer vault, the archive of all the content that's been on there previously. This past week, a segment that was retired from the podcast show, Movie Variant Showdown, has returned, and this past week I did the Dark Knight movie posters, looking at all the different movie posters from the movie The Dark Knight. And yeah, it was fun to do Movie Variant Showdown as well, and get like editing the music from the show as well. It was always fun. And I mean, Case Cover Collision is great to do. It's like just that's like another sequel. It's like a sequel of that segment, which I really enjoy. But I thought let's take that over to Patreon for a bit. Let's see how that does and see if people are enjoying it over there. And yeah, I enjoyed doing that video, and it was a good one to do. So that's Patreon for this past week. And that is it for Not So Worthy Blockbuster Housekeeping for another week. Let's move on to today's headline topic.
The Movie Cheer Podcast presents the headline topic for the episode.
Remember to spread a bit of
headline topic. Headline topic.
Remember to spread a bit of movie cheer.
So today's headline topic, Predator. Is it the best Arnie movie of all time? Is it Arnie's best film? That's what I want to get down to, and that's what I want to have at the conclusion of this topic today. But let's get into this. Let's talk about Predator. First of all, I'm going to look at the plot, the cast, the characters of this movie. So first of all, we've got this movie was released in 1987. The plot of Predator is a fairly simple plot. So basically, Arnie plays this character Dutch, and he has his own sort of like secret ops group of soldiers, like these like super group of soldiers who are just like the elite of soldiers. They get hired to do a mission by Carl Weathers' character. Carl Weathers is in this, and I think, I'm watching this, I'm thinking, I look at certain movies and I think, if there's a certain actor in certain movies that you really enjoy, it's like they're a special ingredient to like movies in general. And I look at like Carl Weathers as like Apollo Creed in Rocky, and then he's in this, another great movie. And I think, is Carl Weathers a secret ingredient? If you put Carl Weathers in any movie, is it going to be golden? I mean, I've not really watched that many other Carl Weathers movies off the top of my head, so I'm going to have to watch a few more Carl Weathers movies, but he's like a special ingredient in this. I think he's great in this, but he plays this CIA operative called Dylan, and basically he hires then Arnie's group of Dutch and his gang to go into this sort of like this jungle to find this cabinet minister whose plane has crashed in the jungle. And that is what they're going into. They think it's this. They're going to save this cabinet minister, but they're going behind enemy lines, and you've got like these sort of like I think they call it in the film like the guerrillas. That's like the sort of like they're not part of an army. They're just like in the jungle. These sort of like groups in the jungle who are like, they got arms, they set up camps, and they've got to go in there and try and find this cabinet minister whose plane has crashed. Spoilers for the movie. It's a 1987 movie, but we find out later on in the movie there wasn't actually a cabinet minister. It was actually CIA bosses that went in there and stuff, and they were trying to like end a war easily, like more quicker. But it all goes skew with, doesn't work out, and we see then that basically something is killing everyone in the jungle, and we see the Predator the first time. And we see the Predator at the start of the movie as well. The Predator is an alien from outer space, and you see at the start of the movie comes in a spaceship, sent down, and it is out there to hunt this Predator. It's like a game hunter for humans, and it's trying to find the best of the best to kill them all, and takes the skulls as trophies. It's a trophy hunter, whatever you call them, a hunter. And this Predator is going in the jungle. It's killing all the people in there. And then you see this realization at first. Duke and his Duke. That's why I always think he's called Duke. Dutch and his men. They basically find 3 guys who have been like torn apart, the bodies, and you see the raw bodies, the skeletons in the jungle. And it's like no man could do that. No person could do that. But they initially think it's this camp of these like rebels in the jungle at first, and then they go and attack the camp, and then they realize then soon after that it wasn't them who killed the men, and the realization obviously that it wasn't a cabinet minister, it was the CIA. But then that doesn't even matter at that point. It's like what's like hunting us down now? What is hunting everyone in the jungle? What is killing all these people and doing these outrageous acts to them? And then you see the Predator, and then it's a case where they've got to get to the chopper. That's the end goal of the movie then. It's got get to the chopper that like is the rescue chopper to get out of the jungle to survive. And that's the end goal. It's get to the chopper. But then you see all of Dutch's crew get in, slowly picked one off, one and one get off, picked off by this Predator, taking them all down, until you're left with Arnie, with Dutch's character. You see the girl, the female character as well. She gets away in the end. But Dutch, then he takes on the Predator. He decides to take it upon himself. He's got to try and survive this. He realizes, he can't really run here because the Predator's just going to keep on hunting him down. So he takes on the Predator, and we get this really cool battle between Arnie and the Predator. And then in the end, the Predator ends up blowing himself up because he's, Dutch basically kills him nearly. He puts him on death's door, and the Predator decides to blow himself up. Dutch then survives. He gets out of there. He gets to the chopper, and hey presto, we have the end of the movie. So that is the plot of it. You've got some really good castings in there. Jesse Ventura is in there. I know we discussed The Running Man last week. Jesse Ventura, if you don't know, he's a former professional wrestler. He was a professional wrestling announcer as well, and he starred in The Running Man. I think he starred in a bunch of movies over the years. He may have even starred in a few more Arnie ones that I'm not thinking of. But yeah, he is in this as well. And I love the line in this where he says, one of the guys says to Jesse Ventura's character, "You're bleeding, man." And he's like, "I don't have time to bleed." And it sounds like something like a line from like Clubber Lang in Rocky. It just sounds like something like Clubber Lang would say. But I think he's great. I think the whole cast is really good in this one. But yeah, that is the plot. That's the characters of this, basically. And that is the summary of Predator. So let's now get to honest opinions of this movie. So I'm watching this back. How do I feel about it? I suppose past experiences watching this. I watched this a lot as a kid. I was big into Arnie movies. Yeah, I think that is just what I was brought up on. I was brought up on like action movies like Stallone, Arnie. And for me, growing up, it was like, your Terminators, your Running Man, your Total Recall, Rambo's for Stallone and stuff like Rocky. And this was, Predator was one of them, and it's one of my dad's favourite movies. He loves it, and I think that's just been passed on to me, where I really just enjoy this movie as well a lot. And I think, though it's one of those that I've not watched in recent years, it's not like one I watch all the time now, personally. But watching this now, I feel like I'm getting more, as the years go by, I feel like I'm enjoying it even more and more, this movie, because I just realised this is an all-out action movie. It's just all out. It's there's a few cheesy lines, but apart from that, and there's a bit of dialogue in there, but really it is just all out action from start to finish. This is kind of, for me, this is Rambo. You have Rambo. This is Arnie's Rambo movie for me. This is very, very much a comparable movie to Rambo. Really, it's just all out action, and it is absolutely great. Honest opinion, I love it. Absolutely love it. I think it is great. It's a great movie. For me, some of the standouts, I mean, the cast. I think the cast is a great cast. You've got a great bunch of actors in there that really work well. For me, Arnie is just great as Dutch, as this like this big monster of a guy, this leader of this group. You can see, the muscles on the guy. He's jacked. He just looks the part. He looks that if you're going to put someone up against this alien creature, this is the guy you'd want to do it. So I think Arnie is great in it. I think he's just solid in this movie. He looks great. He looks like a machine, and he just looks like an absolute. He looks like a soldier. He looks like a guy who you would send in for a mission like this in the jungle, and it's amazing. One other thing I really like as well, what really stands out throughout the movie, is the music. So the music was done by Alan Silvestri, and he did, I don't know if you're picking up this, there was a dog barking outside, but yeah, the dog must like Alan Silvestri as well. But Alan Silvestri did the music for the likes of the Avengers movies. He's done he did like Judge Dredd, I think he did Forrest Gump as well. He done Back to the Future as well, forgetting Back to the Future. Tons of great sound scores over the years, Alan Silvestri. He does the music for this, and it's great because there's like two contrasting scores going on. You hear like a bit where it sounds like it's like a bugle, and then it goes into like this string one where it's like sort of like at the end of the movie you get that, and when there's a death of one of the characters, I think they play that one, and then you have the bit where it's like I would call it like more of like the Predator jungle theme, where you get like this. It sounds like to me like a synth. It's like and then you get all these cool percussion instruments going on there, and it just sounds great. It just really sets the tone for this movie, where it's like, what's going on here? It's like it just builds up this sort of like adrenaline rush of like there's someone coming out, something is hunting you in the jungle. It's hunting these guys, and it really adds another layer of atmosphere to this movie, and I think it is a big part of the movie, the score. I think it is incredible. Also, I want to talk about the Predator suit. So we do see, I think the first time we see the Predator is when the Predator is kind of like restoring its health, and it's on like a treetop, and you see the suit for the first time. But when you see that suit, it kind of looks a bit, you see like a hand at first, and it reminded me a bit of like the monsters, the creatures from Power Rangers, the show, when you just see a hand and it looks a bit, I don't know, like a bit cartoony. But I think later in the movie, when you see the full look of the Predator, not just a hand, it looks great. The physical suit looks brilliant, and when them sort of like first scenes, kind of like, then you just forget about the first scenes where you see this hand and it just looks a bit like I don't know, it looks a bit Power Ranger at first when you just see that hand of the Predator. But when you see the full suit and you see the helmet, oh man, he looks hardcore. He looks monstrous. He looks scary. He looks like a threatening figure, and a great villain for this movie, the Predator, the antagonist of this movie. So I love it. So honest opinion, honestly, it's a 10 out of 10 movie for me. I think it's a cracking movie. Talk about classic movies. This is a classic movie. 80s classic for me, for sure. Let's talk about some of the best moments now, and some of the fun facts from Predator that I was, fun facts new to me, some new facts as well. So let's talk about the best moments for me. I think for me, when they storm the enemy camp at first. So they're going in, they think there's obviously this cabinet minister could be in this enemy camp in the jungle, and they go in and they're going around the camp because you got Dutch and his group with Carl Weathers along there as well, and they sort of like circle the camp, and they're all going in, taking out different men in the camp, and just slowly going up behind them, like taking them out with the knives or just like pulling them down. And then you see Arnie. He sees like this truck, and he takes it off the wheels, and puts a bomb in it, and he pushes it down, and it just explodes, and then you just see him start hurling in grenades, and then there's all out destruction. It is amazing, absolutely awesome to see. It's just all out action. This is what I'm talking about. The all out action part of the movie, I love. I just get a buzz from it. I'm just like, oh man, this is my sort of movie. This is my sort of movie. I'm enjoying this, and I really get into it. And for me, that is one of the best moments of the movie. That storm in the camp. But another part of it as well is the realization. I call it the mud realization. So the Predator has like that sort of like that vision, what you'd see like special ops scenes when they put on like them night goggles on. The Predator can see, so it sees like heat on people. So it's like a heat map, and it sees in the jungle. It hasn't got like normal sight. So you see later on in the film when the Arnie's character Dutch falls into like this river, the Predator then jumps into the river, follows him, and then he goes into like this bath of mud, and he covers himself accidentally in all the mud, and then the Predator can't see him, visually can't see him, because it must cover up the heat pattern on his body. And that's the mud realization. Then you see, this is, at the end of the movie, where it's the Predator and Arnie one-on-one, and he is covered in mud, and he's setting up all these like little tracks and sort of like traps for the Predator to attack him, and then we do see him later attack him. But then that realization that the mud is a big vital part of him. But then like maybe like 5-10 minutes later, you see him just fall back into the river again, and all the mud's off him, and then the Predator's after him again. Then that's great. And one scene I kind of forgot about was the end scene where he drops like this big, I think it's like a log or a rock on the Predator, and then he goes to see the Predator. He thinks it's dead, and he sees it, and this is where the Predator's about to set off this like sort of like bomb detonator to self-destruct, to kill itself with honor. Like, but you see, I totally forgot about this. The Predator does this like really like skeletal like evil laugh, like ha 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 ha, and it's like a menacing laugh, and I'm like, I honestly couldn't remember that. I couldn't remember the laugh, and I don't know whether I'm watching it and I'm thinking, is the Predator trying to mimic one of the human characters must have been laughing maybe in the movie or something, or is that just something the Predator does? I just thought it was really weird. A bit cheesy, but you know what, I was like, I'll settle with it. I don't mind. I thought it was good to watch. It was still fun. It didn't ruin the movie. It just, if anything, it just added a bit of like, oh, that's a bit strange. This alien creature just ends up laughing and then blowing itself up at the end. But I'd like that. I really did like that scene. Let's get to some fun facts of this movie though. But I didn't realize till watching it. So let's backtrack a bit. Earlier on this year, I watched Stranger Things for the first time, and I watched all the up-to-date seasons, and all up-to-date, I absolutely loved it. And I didn't realize that there was actually references from Stranger Things, really references a lot from Predator. I suppose two big references here. You've got, now I don't know whether they've done this on purpose or maybe it's just one of those things. It was just like they never realized there was a reference. I don't know if it was this has been clarified to be a true, they've done it because they enjoyed Predator, the filmmakers, but it seems very obvious, some of these names. So basically, they use the name Hopper, Jim Hopper, as one of the soldiers who is killed at the start of the movie, and they found in the jungle. And obviously, Hopper is the sheriff in Stranger Things. Obviously, a big significant part of that. It's a movie that's set in the 80s as well, and you kind of think is it like a spiritual, like, I don't know, is there some sort of link there? Is like Stranger Things and Predator in a kind of like a same world, or is it just a name reference? I think it's probably more of a name reference, but I thought it was really cool that I heard that name and was like, well, that's Stranger Things, isn't it? That's Stranger Things. And I went online straight away and I was like, oh yeah, there's more references. And then I realised then that Shane Black's character, who is a director of like the writer of the Lethal Weapon movies, Shane Black, he plays the character called Rick Hawkins, and Hawkins is obviously the town in which Stranger Things is set in. And I thought that was another cool reference to Stranger Things. It never had I noticed. But obviously, I never watched Stranger Things, so maybe that's something that people have been aware of for a few years. But I thought it was really cool to hear that and to see that. I thought it was just a nice reference to newer content out there. I thought it was really decent, that. But let's get to the final question of today's headline topic. Is this the best Arnie movie of all time? Big question. A big question for a big topic for today. Well, like I said, I think it is a classic movie. For me, one of the best movies of the 80s. Up there with RoboCop for me. Really neck and neck with RoboCop for me. Is it the best Arnie movie? Look, I think the only movie that can possibly challenge this is, for me, this is for me, it's either this or Kindergarten Cop. No, I'm joking. Kindergarten Cop's not actually a bad movie. I was going to say, what was that clone movie? I was discussing it with Ryan the other night on the show. The Sixth Day. No, that... Is it the best? I think it's either this or Terminator 2. Terminator 2 is a great movie. Just a great sequel, and it's very different from Terminator 1, and obviously the turn of him being the good guy character in that one, really a massive difference to that first movie, and it's just a solid movie all round. It's just got everything, isn't that movie? Action, scenes of comedy in there, definitely some scenes of comedy, just a great story, great characters. But this is, if I'm thinking of what I truly enjoy, just like, for me, I want to just watch an action movie that is just pure action, no nonsense, no like, I'll be honest with you, I don't want love stories. There's nothing like that in Terminator 2. There's no like love stories as such in that one. But I think this one is for me. Predator. I think it is the best Arnie movie. I think it's got everything for me. And everyone's going to be different, and I'd love to hear what your opinion of this is. Is it the best Arnie movie for you? I think it is the best Arnie movie out there. I don't think any Arnie movie can top this one. I think it's got everything. Great characters, a great score, a great villain, great setting, and just a really good conclusion to this story. And it's a shame that they never had Dutch in any of the other Predator movies. Whether it would have been as good as this, that is, a big question mark. But it would have been great to see a continuation of his character in that universe. Maybe one day we will see it in a sequel Predator movie. I'm sure that's probably been discussed at some point. But yeah, for me, Predator is the best Arnie movie, and I'm really happy today that I got to discuss it on today's headline topic. But that is the headline topic over for today's show. Let's move on to the next segment.
Case covers take on other case covers. Can you handle that? Case cover collision. Case cover collision.
Case cover collision. Each and every week I choose a movie and look at all of the different types of case covers, the different variants of case covers for that movie. And this week I will be discussing, because we are now in November and it seems like everyone else, the rest of the world is now really getting into the Christmas spirit. I'm still a bit of a Grinch, I'll be honest, a bit of a Scrooge, but I thought there's been a new release of this movie this past week, the 4K release of the movie Elf. So that is the movie we're discussing, Elf. And yeah, I'm going to be looking at the new 4K release, the case cover of that, and comparing it and looking at some of the DVDs, the Blu-ray covers that have come out over the years, and looking at them and seeing which one is the winner of today's case cover collision. So first of all, let's talk about Elf. What do I think about it? I think I've said it on the show before, I'm not like a big Christmas movie guy, I'll be honest with you, but Elf is just one of them ones that I've watched in recent years, probably. I remember watching it when it came out and thought it was okay, but yeah, just not my thing. But I've watched it in recent years. It is definitely up there as one of my favourite Christmas movies. I think it's one I can enjoy. I think Will Ferrell is very funny in that. I think he's some really good comedy moments in that movie, which I really have a lot of fun watching and make me laugh. So, yeah, I think it's a decent movie. But let's look at the case of it. So I've got 5 5 different case covers today, so it was a big one today, ladies and gents. Let's get into it. So first of all, I want to discuss the DVD case cover. This was the first release of this movie, Will Ferrell Elf. And this is the one I actually have in my collection, this case cover. So we've got Will Ferrell's elf character. Basically, he's a human that is living with all the elves, and he comes back to New York to find his dad. And we see him here with him just being this larger figure compared to all the other elves who are just looking up to him. And obviously, he looks very, very different compared to all the other elves. He feels a bit like something's different here. I don't think I'm a real elf, is he? And we see him, he's standing tall, just looking straight at the camera and straight at the audience in his elf costume, and then you've got all the elves looking up at him, around him. To the right, you've got the elf text in this green colour, very Christmassy green colour. Obviously matches his suit colour as well. He's got this green suit with yellow tights. Will Ferrell, the name on top, and then with James Caan underneath. James Caan obviously playing the father in this movie. And then you've got like this very Christmas North Pole setting behind, a very light colours of a light blue, and you've got the snow dropping down. I like this one. I think it's a really nice cover. I think it just, it tells the movie there. You got the elf character, Will Ferrell just doing a very Will Ferrell funny face. I like this. I think it looks fresh. It looks bright. What you'd expect from a Christmas movie, and a very, bright, vibrant Christmas movie as well. I really like this cover. I think it's a nice looking cover and a very pleasant cover as well. Next, I'm going to discuss, so we're going to move on now to another DVD cover, case cover of Elf. And this one, I believe, is a 2018 release, this one. So this one is very different. So you've got a very close-up shot now of Will Ferrell's head. It's basically just his head, and he's got the elf costume on again. You can see his hat, his elf hat. You've got a different background. It's kind of like a patterned background of a light blue, like bluey greeny colour here with like sort of snowflakes in the background. And like I said, his close-up shot of him smiling. He's smiling this time rather than he's showing his teeth this time. Bit different than the pose in the last cover, and the text is very different this time. So it's at the top of the screen, like top right again. You've got Will Ferrell in this red colour now, which matches like a feather on his hat, and the elf text is very different from the text in the font in the first cover. It's like this red text, very bold. And I gotta be honest, I prefer the text font in the first DVD cover. I think it matches the tone of the movie a bit more. It looks a bit more Christmassy and a bit more jolly, the text, like the font. This just looks very boring, if I'm being honest. It doesn't look great. I think just to look at this, it looks a really cheaply made cover. I mean, if I'm being honest, it looks like someone has typed in online winter patterns, and they've got this background, they put light blue colour, and then they've got a really close-up shot of Will Ferrell smiling. And it's like, let's sell it as a Will Ferrell movie. And it is a Will Ferrell movie, but I don't know, it just doesn't look that exciting, doesn't look nice, it doesn't look vibrant to me, this movie cover. I think, for me, the first DVD case cover looks way better than this, and so far, for me, that is the one that is winning through. Now, let's move on to the Blu-ray release of this. And the Blu-ray release is basically, you've got Will Ferrell again, a slightly different pose than the first cover, but he's looking straight at the camera, his arms are like on his hips here, and he's sort of like standing straight, and you've got that same text from the first case cover, which I really like, but it's a lot larger now, and he is actually standing in for the L of the word elf. It's like he's the L here, which I really like. So you see that really, really large, and then at the top text went for that red font and red colour, what we've seen in the previous cover. So they have used that text font as well here, so they went for a bit of both. But in the background here, it kind of similar idea what they did with the pattern of the snowflakes. It kind of feels like if you've ever watched Frasier, the TV comedy Frasier, here for this Blu-ray cover, they've got like, it looks like you've got the backdrop of New York City in this sort of like Frasier cartoony sort of like hand-drawn look. and it's like a light blue to white look, and then you've got like a darker grey of the buildings, a grey-blue colour. But then you've got the bright green then of the elf text and Will Ferrell in there. Really just pops, and for me, just again gives it that vibrance and that really jolliness and happiness of what this movie is. So for me, I think this is, so far, this Blu-ray cover is the best. I think it is the absolute best. I think it looks really great, really, it just pops out on an aisle with the text being so large as well. I really like this cover. Now, let's move on to the 4K release. So this is the latest release of this movie that's came out this past week. And so here, I believe this is a scene in the movie where he is making snow angels. So it's him, Will Ferrell's character. Again, everyone, he's just like looking, wide eyes, looking at the camera, like the photographer who's doing like these photo shoots. He's looking straight at the camera, and he is lying back in the snow making snow angels. And I do think it is a really nice cover, this. You've got beneath his legs, in very small font at the bottom, the elf text again from the first movie, which I like. And it's slightly different though. It's an orange colour this time rather than the green. The green sort of surrounds it. So you've got like this white backdrop then of the snow, which is really nice to look at because again, it's a Christmas movie, snow, Christmas. I think that's really good. And at the very top, you've got the Will Ferrell red text again, very small here, but I think by now you know this is Elf. You know it's Will Ferrell. He's the main guy on screen. I like this one, but is it better than the Blu-ray for me? I'll be honest with you, I gotta say, I'm still with the Blu-ray. I think the Blu-ray is a much better cover. I think it's the text, the largeness of that font really stands out and makes it pop a lot more. Even though the 4K is great, I do like the look of it. For me, so far, the Blu-ray cover is winning through. So let's go into the Blu-ray cover is winning. Let's go into the final cover of today's Case Cover Collision. And the final cover is one from HMV. This is a HMV, I think it's called the Christmas Classics line or something like that. It's like a HMV exclusive one. And this is a really nice cover. It's got like this gold trim around the cover here. And all the text is in this gold colour. So you've got the elf style font again. Very, keeping that tradition of that font style again here. In this gold colour this time, though. Will Ferrell at the top with James Caan. And then it's just a very minimalist look within the gold trim of this cover. You got you can see the North Pole, but it's just it just looks like snow. It's just, you see this snowy cover, this very distant look of snow in this background. You don't really see that much in the distance, but you then just see Will Ferrell standing there again with his hands on his hips, looking to the camera, kind of like a very a wide-angle shot of Will Ferrell. He's not super large in frame here. Very minimalist, but I do like this cover. I think it's nice. I think it's nice because, again, it's a Christmas movie. It looks like, looks like a happy movie to watch. You look in this, it doesn't look like it's a movie that's got violence or anything in it. It looks like a jolly movie, and that is what you're getting. And I love the look. It's just nice. It's a nice looking cover, this. I think it really suits what this movie is. But is it the best one out of here? So what is the winner? Which one is the winner of this week's edition of Case Cover Collision? Well, I've got to go with the Blu-ray cover, the Elf Blu-ray cover. I think for me, it's just, you got that backdrop in New York, which is a big part of the movie. Elf, he's going from the North Pole to New York to meet his dad for the first time, to find his dad. And you've got this character of Elf. It's like, he's got his elf suit on, again, another major part of the movie, and the big font of the text of the title Elf in there with him being the letter L. I think it was just a really nice touch. That I think it's just a small little difference, but I think it really does make the difference for this cover. And for me, the Blu-ray cover is the winner of this week's edition of Case Cover Collision. Now, let's move on to the next segment of today's show.
The Amazon Top 10 is approaching. Prepare yourself. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
1. The Amazon Top 10 has arrived. The Amazon Top 10. Each and every week I give you the Amazon Top 10 for Amazon.co.uk for the best sales list of DVDs, Blu-rays, and 4Ks. Let's look at the list this week, ladies and gents. So first off on the list, where are we? Where are we here? I've got the list here, right here. We're going to start off with at number 10, we have Operation Mincemeat on DVD. That is at number 10. At number 9, we have the Top Gun Double Pack Blu-ray. That is the first movie in the new movie Maverick. At number 8, we have Thor Love and Thunder, the DVD. At number 7, we have House of the Dragon Season 1 on DVD. At number 6, we have Top Gun Maverick on 4K. That is at number 6. Number 5, we have Minions, The Rise of Gru. That's the DVD of that. At number 4, we have the Elvis movie on DVD. At number 3, we have Fisherman's Friends 2, One and All on DVD. At number 2, we have one that has been here for a long time now, and obviously it must have a lot of fans still, this one. Downton Abbey, A New Era on, I believe that is a DVD release of that at number 2. But at number 1 still, we have Top Gun Maverick on Blu-ray, holding that number 1 spot in the Amazon Top 10. Now let's move on to the next segment of today's show. Ooh, what's been on the screen? What's been on the screen? What's been on the screen? Each and every week I discuss what I've been watching over the past week, and I'm going to start off with a movie called Copland, starring Sylvester Stallone, directed by, get this, James Mangold. James Mangold is the director of, he did the Wolverine movie and Logan. Logan is a movie I really, really enjoy. I think he's actually doing the new Indiana Jones movie as well, I'm pretty sure. So great director in James Mangold. Copland is a 1997 movie. Stallone stars in this. You've got Harvey Keitel in there. Ray Liotta. I always butcher these names. I know I probably butchered Harvey Keitel as well. Robert De Niro's in there. That's one I can definitely pronounce. But basically, Stallone in this, he plays a small town sheriff in this town just outside of New York City. And basically, in this town, in this community outside of New York, all of the cops from New York live there in this community. And there's a lot of corruption throughout the community of cops. A lot of the cops are like all corrupt. And, well, not all of them, there's some good ones, but the majority of them are pretty corrupt. And they're led by Keitel's character in this movie. Now, I'm not going to give you, let's say spoilers, just in case if you never watched Copland. Spoilers ahead, ladies and gents. Basically, there's a murder at the start of this movie where one of the cops murders two of these young men, and then he goes on the run, and they all think he's dead. They all think he's jumped off a bridge. Turns out he hasn't, and he's like the nephew of Keitel's character, who is also a cop. And they hide him, and obviously, again, this is where the corruption comes in, and then there's a big investigation into the corruption of these cops. And De Niro's character works like he's like a high, sort of like he's like one of the investigators of the police in this, and he's trying to get Stallone's character on board to try and investigate the corruption. And Stallone's character is kind of like he can't become a New York cop because he had an accident when he was younger and he lost a hearing in one of his ears, and he's trying to get Stallone's character to try to come around to like getting rid of this corruption and sort of like lifting the lid on all these cops. And then it comes to this big closing point where we see Stallone's character just taking on all these cops and just killing them all off, basically, with Ray Liotta's character as well coming in there, who is also a corrupt cop, but he kind of comes good in the end. This is one I've heard people reference a few times over the years, Copland, saying it's a really good movie. Now, I'm discussing it because you know what? I never say in this show, I'll never discuss a movie I despise. If it's a movie I do not enjoy, I won't discuss it on the Movie J podcast. I will say, though, there's always movies that I'll discuss that I'm kind of like in between them. Now, for me, this is not one of Stallone's best movies. I feel maybe it could be one where if I watch it again, I maybe get a different a different opinion of this. But on this watch, I wasn't sold on it being one of his best movies. And I've heard, like I said, I've heard over the years saying this is a really good one. I didn't really get that feeling. I thought, yeah, it's an okay movie. It's a decent movie, but in comparison to some of us, like some other Stallone movies I've watched over the years, this is really low down the rankings for me. And it's a shame because for me, I think, it's got a really good cast. The premise is pretty good. The corruption as well. And I think I'm going to get like a movie, like a Heat vibe to this movie, something like that maybe. And it just didn't really live up to what I thought it was going to be. It was just a very middle-of-the-road movie. That's my opinion, though. It'd be great to hear what the rest of the Movie Cheer Town community think about this. But I did like the end, like sort of like scene where he's just like blasting off all the cops and stuff like that. And it physically shows it on screen, him being deafened because they shoot one of his other ears and he's basically deaf. And you're just seeing like this silent scene of him shooting all these other characters. I did like that, but I think the rest of the story, I don't know, it just felt a bit very slow pace for me, this movie, so it wasn't a winner for me, but maybe it is something where I give it another watch and I really enjoy it a lot more, because I do like him as a director, James Mangold. I think he's a really solid director. Another quick one, let's talk about it. The Andor came out this week, the recent episode of Andor, and it was very much like a great escape. It ended with Andy Serkis' character. So, spoilers for Andor, the recent episode of Andor. I don't want to spoil it again for anyone. So, spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ladies and gents. It was a big Great Escape episode. They escaped from the prison, and you see basically Andor, his character, and the character played by Andy Serkis teaming up with the rest of the prisoners to escape, and they get out, and then you see the end scene where Andy Serkis' character says, "I can't swim," and they're on this like big prison in the middle of the ocean, and you wonder what becomes of his character then, but we see them escaping. I thought it was another great episode. I'm really loving Andor. I think it is a solid Star Wars show, and I can't wait to see. I think there's like 2 more episodes left now. I can't wait to see the conclusion of this, and I know there's going to be a season 2, which is very exciting. But let me know what you're thinking of that. But anyway, that is it for another edition of the Movie Cheer Pod. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this show today, please do give the channel a subscribe and give the video a like, and let me know your thoughts on all today's topics. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening to this on a podcast app of your choice, leave a 5-star review, subscribe to the podcast app and to the show. All of your support really does help, and if you leave a review, send me an email or send me a tweet with the review and I will read out on the show. But let me know your thoughts on all today's topics, ladies and gents. Predator, is it the best Arnie movie for you? Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts on everything discussed in today's show. I'll be back next week for another edition of the Movie Cheer Pod. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, ladies and gents. Remember to spread a bit of movie cheer, and as always, I will see you next time.